much. That was really tremendous. Unable to come for this panel, but Professor Inaba, who's here from Nagoya, is going to do double duty on this panel, just as John Maurer did on the first panel. And because over the last month or 6 weeks I've been talking with Professor Inaba about not the mediation that he's going to do on the diplomacy of Portsmouth, but on a subject, a new subject that he's been working on for some time, which is the building of submarines for the Japanese in 1903, 1904, here at the Fall River shipyard, Quincy, Massachusetts. And 5 submarines were disassembled and brought to Japan in 1904. At that time, we saw one picture, I think, in Dr. Kazura's slideshow about a Russian submarine. So submarines were starting to appear at that time. But we're going to be learning about this just new research from Professor Inaba. So I just wanted to announce that change before we get started. And our moderator today, and she'll introduce the panelists, is Dr. Amy Chinell. And she's a great expert on the Ottomans, and which may surprise you. Why is Amy here? But because the Russo-Japanese War had a great impact on Ottoman thinking. And so she'll make a comment on that after the panelists, and then we'll go on to the questions and answers. So we see here who our panelists are. Dr. Inaba from, as I mentioned, from Nagoya in Japan. Bill Tilchin, who's the secretary and the editor of the Teddy Roosevelt Journal, the Theodore Roosevelt Association, and then attorney Charles Doliak, who is the president of the New Hampshire Japan Society. And happy to have all of you here today. So thank you very much. Take it away.
Thank you so much. We're going to start our second panel of the day. I'd like to introduce Professor Inaba, who's Professor of International Relations and at the Faculty of Urban Science at Meiji University. Welcome.
Yes, thanks a lot for inviting me to this excellent conference. Yes, it's when I come to Boston, I have to think about it's anything topic concerning Boston I should speak. So I find this topic. So the first U.S.-Japanese naval cooperation started in Boston during the Russo-Japanese War. It's I'm researching for a long time about Japanese submarines, how Japanese Navy introduced the submarines. And I was very much interested in the also Russian submarines, how Russians introduced the submarines. Okay, so it's submarine was the latest weapon in World War I, but not World War I. It's during the Russo-Japanese War time already submarine was developed, and Russian Japan it's deployed submarine in the far eastern waters, but neither of them is in active service at all, because it's at that time submarines cannot cruise in the Pacific Ocean. There's a very high waves. It cannot cruise at all. Only they can cruise in the Tokyo Bay. But both navies paid great attention to shadows of the enemy's submarines and also prepared submarine operations. So it's at first I will explain the submarine development in the world. It's 1890s. It's France introduced the submarines fighting against the Royal Navy. So they want to compete with Royal Navy, but it's French Navy's its power is not enough. So they invented the submarines. And the United States is private shipping companies. It's called the Holland submarine torpedo boat companies and the Lake torpedo boat company developed the technique. And the US Navy introduced the submarine in the turn of the 20th century. And also Britain introduced 5 submarines from United States in 1901. And Russia also got a license from the Holland submarine torpedo boat company from United States in 1901. So many world submarines is come from US technique. And this is a Russian submarine. Its name is Delphin. But this is also like a Holland submarine. It's of course it's licensed by Holland. But it's then now I want to explain about the Japanese Navy. It's Japanese Navy, Japanese Imperial Navy. It's established in the 1870s, beginning of 1870s. But at that time, Japan is still a developing country. It's Japan didn't have any army or navy at that time. So Japan introduced a navy from Britain. So Japanese Navy was completed a copy of the Royal Navy. And at that time, Japanese officers, many officers was studied at Royal Navy colleges. And Navy, it's introduced British warships. Arms and naval equipment, for example, during the Russo-Japanese War time, it's 6 battleships and 6 heavy cruisers, all of them as made in Britain. And Russian Royal Navy at that time as something, it's underestimated the submarines. I don't know. It's that is a submarine itself or US submarines or I don't know. But anyhow, Royal Navy has underestimated the submarines but on the other hand, Japanese it's naval officers studied in the United States made one report, and he reported that it then emphasized the importance of submarine. But in Tokyo, Naval General Staff ignored the information. And early 1904, Japanese naval attaché to London also informed that submarine was useless, nothing. So it's Japanese Navy didn't want to introduce any submarines at that time. But it's 15th of May 1904. It's last session. It's told that 2 Japanese battleships were sunk by a mine, Russian mines off Port Arthur. But Japanese Imperial Navy didn't believe that. Oh, the Japanese Navy, its battleships never touch the mine. It's something, another weapon were attacked the Japanese battleships. And one, its warships alarm that something it's surfaced and the dark water. What was that? And it's Japanese naval general staff suspicion was it a mines or submarines torpedo attack? And then in Tokyo, it's Russian submarines attacked. Their suspicions was enlarged. But also, the Russian reaction to the Japanese submarines. Japan didn't have the submarines at that time in the April 04, but it's Russian battleships. Petropavlovsk also sunk, and also Russian naval attaches wanted to research that in the United States, that is it something as exported from the United States to Japan, some submarine parts, and I found some documents in the Russian naval archives that its submarine parts was exported from Boston to Japan, from Quincy. Oh, and Japanese reaction to the Russian submarine that Baka stolen anti-submarine weapon was also developed in Japan, but it is also useless. But in the Japanese Navy was decided in June 1904 that to introduce its latest submarine technique, and latest submarine technique is it's developed in the United States, Japan believe, and it's introduced a Holland type electric boat. It's that is nowadays it's General Dynamics, no? And 5 submarines assembled at the Fall River shipyard Quincy in between June to October 1904, and disassembled and smuggled them with 78 assemblymen into Japan. It's assemblymen. It's come from also Boston, and it's one famous. It's a submarine architect named Frank Cable. He came to Japan too. I read Frank Cable's report about that. And August 1905, submarine flotilla. Oh, yes. Oh, I have. And this is a Japanese. It's a submarine imported from Boston. This is also the Holland type. And the first U.S.-Japanese naval cooperation in Boston was started in Navy. It's Japanese Navy is the first experience to cooperate with other than the Royal Navy. It's the first time to cooperate with the United States this time. And Royal Navy, it's not Russian Navy also imported 5 submarines by Lake Submarine Torpedo Boat Company in autumn 1904. And but not only Russian Navy, Japanese Navy also not only the 5 submarines but also invited the John Holland, his submarine architect, and built 2 new Holland submarines in Kobe. So Japan imported almost 7 submarines at that time. And many equipment imported from Quincy. And Holland got the Japanese order of Rising Sun in later. And Japanese naval documents, but those research, I would like to research more, but Japanese naval document was vanished in the end of the Second World War. So I could not find any more document in Japan, and I tried to find the document here, if it's possible. And it's day after tomorrow I will go to MIT's archives to find the document if there are.
We hope.
We hope. So I hope that it's new. The U.S.-Japanese Naval Cooperation will be researched sooner. Thanks a lot for your listening.
Thank you so much. Our next speaker